Close your eyes for a moment and let this settle in. This is not a video about working harder or becoming someone else. It is about noticing something very simple that controls more lives than people realize. Comfort. Comfort feels safe, feels normal, feels like rest. Most people think comfort is the reward after effort, but for many, comfort becomes the reason effort stops. Nothing feels wrong, so nothing feels urgent. Days pass, routines repeat, and life feels fine. And because it feels fine, change never begins. This video is not here to attack comfort or shame you for wanting it. Comfort exists for a reason. The problem starts when comfort quietly makes decisions for you. As 2026 begins, most people will carry the same habits, the same routines, and the same reactions into a new year, not because they failed, but because they never questioned what felt familiar. This is a calm space to notice that pattern and understand why growth often feels uncomfortable and why that feeling is not a danger sign. Comfort works by removing friction. It makes life smoother. You wake up, do what you know, avoid what feels hard, and end the day feeling okay. There is no crisis, no big pain, no clear reason to change. That is why comfort is powerful. It does not force you to stop. It convinces you that stopping is reasonable. Many people think they are choosing comfort, but over time comfort starts choosing for them. It decides how much effort feels acceptable. It decides what risks feel unnecessary. It decides what can be postponed. Growth usually asks for small discomfort. Not pain, not suffering, just effort that feels unfamiliar. Comfort trains the mind to avoid that feeling. When something feels awkward, boring, or uncertain, comfort labels it as wrong, even when it is exactly what leads forward. This is why many people say they want change but feel resistance when they try. The resistance is not fear. It is habit. The mind is used to a certain level of ease. Anything outside that range feels like a problem. Comfort creates a quiet rule. If something does not feel easy, it must not be right. That rule keeps people in the same place for years. They wait for growth to feel comfortable before moving. But growth never feels comfortable at the start. Feels strange. Feels slow. Feels pointless at first. Comfort does not like slow rewards. It prefers quick relief. Scrolling, delaying, staying busy with safe tasks. These things feel productive without changing anything. Comfort also hides behind good reasons. I'll start later. This isn't the right time. I need more clarity first. These sound smart, but most of the time they are comfort speaking. Comfort does not say no directly. It asks for delay. And delay feels harmless. One day becomes 1 week. 1 week becomes 1 year. Then people look back and wonder why nothing changed. They think they lacked discipline, but discipline was never the issue. Comfort was never questioned. Another reason comfort is hard to see is because it does not feel bad. Pain is obvious. Stress is loud. Comfort is quiet. Feels like calm, but it is often just the absence of challenge. There is a difference between rest that restores and comfort that dulls. Rest helps you return stronger. Comfort keeps you where you are. The mind prefers comfort because it saves energy. But saving energy forever means never investing it. Growth always asks for some energy upfront without promising quick results. Comfort avoids that deal. As 2026 moves forward, many people will stay busy without moving forward. They will improve small things while avoiding the main ones. They will stay occupied to avoid discomfort. This is not failure. It is conditioning. Modern life teaches people to avoid discomfort at all costs. Noise, entertainment, and constant activity fill every quiet space where discomfort might appear. Without those quiet moments, it is hard to notice that comfort has become a limit. The goal is not to remove comfort from life. That would be unrealistic. The goal is to stop letting comfort decide your direction. When you notice resistance, instead of asking, "How do I make this easier?" ask, "Why does this feel uncomfortable?" Often the answer points directly toward growth. Discomfort does not mean danger. It often means unfamiliar progress. When you stop running from that feeling, it loses power. It becomes information instead of a warning. This year does not need a big reset. It needs awareness. Comfort is not your enemy. but it cannot be your guide. Growth begins when you stop waiting for things to feel easy and start allowing them to feel new. Let this idea sit with you. You do not need to act right now. Just notice when comfort speaks, when it asks you to delay, when it tells you that staying the same is safer. Seeing it clearly is the first step toward choosing differently. Comfort does not only shape what you do, it slowly shapes how you see yourself. Over time, people begin to believe they are only capable of what feels easy to them. If something feels hard, they assume it is not for them. This belief is quiet but powerful. It turns short-term feelings into long-term limits. A person may say they are not disciplined, not confident, or not creative, when the truth is they have simply stayed close to what feels familiar for too long. Comfort teaches the mind to confuse ease with ability. When people stay in the same routine for years, it starts to feel like identity. They say, "This is just how I am," without realizing that behavior creates that story, not the other way around. The mind likes clear labels because labels reduce effort. If you label yourself a certain way, you stop questioning it. Comfort supports these labels because questioning them would create discomfort. This is why change often feels personal. It is not just about doing something new. It feels like challenging who you think you are. This is also why advice often fails. People hear good ideas and agree with them, but when they try to apply them, something inside pushes back. That pushback is not logic. It is identity protection. The mind tries to protect what feels known. Even when a routine is boring or limiting, it still feels safe because it matches the story you tell yourself. Change threatens that story, so the mind resists, not with fear, but with doubt and delay. Another way comfort shapes identity is through small wins. People feel proud of managing their current life, even if it is not the life they want. They become good at coping instead of growing. Coping feels responsible, keeps things stable. But coping without growth leads to quiet frustration. People feel tired without knowing why. They feel restless but cannot explain it. That restlessness is often the part of them that wants to expand, but comfort keeps telling them stability is more important. Comfort also affects how people see time. When life feels manageable, there is no pressure to move. Tomorrow always feels available. "I can do this later" feels true because nothing feels urgent. But time does not move the way comfort suggests. It moves quietly. Months pass without warning. One day people realize years have gone by, and the things they planned are still plans. This is not because they were lazy. It is because comfort made delay feel harmless. Many people believe they will change when they feel ready. But readiness rarely comes first. Action creates readiness, not the other way around. Comfort reverses this order. It says, "Wait until it feels right." Growth says, "Start, and it will feel right later." This difference is small but important. People who wait for comfort stay where they are. People who accept discomfort move forward even without confidence. This does not mean pushing yourself all the time. It means being honest about what discomfort means. Not all discomfort is useful. Some discomfort is a warning. But the discomfort that comes from learning, trying, or showing up differently is not danger. It is adjustment. The body and mind resist change at first, then adapt. Comfort hides this truth by making the first moment feel final. As this year continues, notice how often you say no to things without fully thinking. Notice how often you choose what feels easiest instead of what feels meaningful. This is not about blame. It is about clarity. When you see comfort shaping your choices, you gain the ability to choose differently, even in small ways. Small choices change identity slowly, and identity, once it shifts, makes new actions feel normal. You do not need to become someone else. You need to stop letting comfort decide who you are allowed to become. Even when people understand comfort and identity, they still struggle because of one quiet habit: avoiding stillness. Stillness is the space where truth shows up. When things get quiet, thoughts rise, feelings surface, questions appear. Comfort teaches people to escape that space as fast as possible. Phones, noise, work, shows, and constant activity fill every gap. This is not because people are weak. It is because stillness feels uncertain. The mind prefers distraction over facing unclear thoughts. When life is busy, there is no time to reflect. And without reflection, patterns stay hidden. People repeat the same days without noticing why. They think about the future or replay the past, but rarely sit with the present. Stillness forces awareness. It shows what feels empty, what feels misaligned, and what has been ignored. Comfort avoids stillness because stillness asks questions comfort cannot answer. Even when people understand comfort and identity, they still struggle because of one quiet habit: avoiding stillness. Stillness is the space where truth shows up. When things get quiet, thoughts rise, feelings surface, questions appear. Comfort teaches people to escape that space as fast as possible. Phones, noise, work, shows, and constant activity fill every gap. This is not because people are weak. It is because stillness feels uncertain. The mind prefers distraction over facing unclear thoughts. When life is busy, there is no time to reflect. And without reflection, patterns stay hidden. People repeat the same days without noticing why. They think about the future or replay the past, but rarely sit with the present. Stillness forces awareness. It shows what feels empty, what feels misaligned, and what has been ignored. Comfort avoids stillness because stillness asks questions comfort cannot answer. Many people confuse peace with distraction. Real peace feels calm but alert. Distraction feels calm but dull. Distraction numbs discomfort for a moment, but it also numbs direction. After hours of distraction, people feel tired without doing much. This is mental fatigue. The mind has been busy avoiding itself. Stillness, even for a few minutes, restores clarity, but only after a short phase of discomfort. That first phase scares people away. Comfort convinces people that being busy is being productive. But busyness without direction leads nowhere. People fill their days with tasks that feel safe. They clean, organize, plan, and consume content. These actions feel useful but rarely change anything important. Stillness exposes this. It makes people ask, why am I doing this? Comfort prefers not to ask that question. Another reason people avoid stillness is fear of falling behind. Silence feels unproductive in a world that praises action. People feel guilty when they stop. They believe they should always be doing something. But without pauses, direction fades. Imagine driving without ever checking the map. Motion continues, but alignment is lost. Stillness is the map check. Without it, effort becomes wasted energy. Stillness also shows what matters. When noise fades, priorities rise. People realize what they care about and what they have been avoiding. This can feel heavy at first. Comfort offers an escape from that weight. But avoiding it does not remove it. It only delays it. Over time, the weight grows into quiet dissatisfaction. People who change learn to sit with stillness without trying to fix it right away. They allow thoughts to pass. They let discomfort exist without solving it. This builds emotional strength. Teaches the mind that uncertainty is not dangerous. Once this lesson is learned, discomfort loses its grip. The urge to escape becomes weaker. Stillness does not require long hours. Even short moments matter. A few minutes without noise. A walk without headphones. Pause before reaching for a screen. These small choices create space. Space allows awareness. Awareness leads to choice. Choice breaks old patterns. As 2026 moves forward, many people will stay distracted and feel busy without feeling fulfilled. Others will feel overwhelmed and not know why. The difference between these people and those who grow is not effort. It is their relationship with stillness. Growth requires moments of quiet honesty. Comfort avoids them. Progress depends on them. You do not need to remove distraction completely. You only need to stop using it as a shield. When you allow stillness back into your life, direction becomes clearer. Decisions feel less forced. You stop reacting and start choosing. Comfort loses power when silence is no longer feared. Stillness is not empty. It is where clarity begins. Another reason people stay stuck is because they wait for confidence before taking action. They believe confidence comes first and action comes after. This feels logical, but it is backward. Confidence is built from action, not before it. Comfort tells people they should feel ready, sure, and calm before they begin. Growth does not work that way. Growth asks you to move while feeling unsure. Many people think confident people are fearless. That is not true. Confident people have simply acted many times while feeling doubt. Each time they act, their mind learns that fear does not mean danger. Over time, fear loses power. People who wait for confidence never teach their mind this lesson. They stay stuck, not because they are incapable, but because they are waiting for a feeling that only comes after movement. Comfort supports this waiting. It says, "Not yet." It says, "You need more time." It says, "You should feel different before you start." These thoughts feel reasonable, but weeks and months pass and nothing changes. People then blame themselves for lacking confidence, without realizing that confidence cannot appear in stillness. Action does not need to be big. In fact, small action is better. Big action creates pressure. Small action builds trust. When you take small steps, the mind relaxes. It learns that action does not lead to harm. This is how confidence grows quietly. Comfort dislikes small action because it feels pointless. It wants comfort or big change, nothing in between. Growth lives in between. Another problem is that people overthink outcomes. They imagine failure, judgment, or wasted effort. These thoughts feel real even though they are imagined. Comfort uses these thoughts to stop movement. But imagined pain often feels stronger than real effort. Once people act, they realize the fear was louder than the experience. People also confuse confidence with certainty. They think they need to know how things will turn out. But life does not offer certainty. Waiting for it only delays growth. People who move forward accept uncertainty. They act without full answers. They adjust as they go. Comfort avoids uncertainty because it feels unsafe, even when it is normal. As action repeats, something important happens. Identity begins to shift. People stop seeing themselves as someone who plans and start seeing themselves as someone who does. This shift is powerful. It changes how choices feel. What once felt hard starts to feel normal. Comfort loses influence because action creates a new baseline. Many people stop too early. They take one step, feel uncomfortable, and return to safety. They think something went wrong. But discomfort at the start is expected. It is a sign that the mind is adjusting. Growth feels awkward before it feels natural. Comfort lies by saying that awkwardness means failure. As 2026 continues, many people will wait for confidence and never start. Others will start small, feel unsure, and keep going anyway. The difference between them will not be talent or intelligence. It will be willingness to act without comfort. You do not need to feel brave. You need to feel willing. Willing to act while unsure. Willing to stay present while uncomfortable. Willing to let confidence grow after the step, not before it. When you understand this, comfort loses another layer of control. Confidence is not a requirement for action. It is a result of it. Many people start something new and stop not because it is hard, but because it feels boring. This is one of the most common reasons progress ends. Comfort does not only avoid pain, it also avoids boredom. Boredom feels empty, feels like nothing is happening. The mind wants signs of progress, excitement, or reward. When those signs do not appear, comfort steps in and says, "This isn't working." Most of the time, that message is wrong. Real growth often looks boring from the outside. The same actions repeat. Days feel similar. There are no big changes to point at. This stage is where most people quit. They think progress should feel exciting or meaningful all the time. But progress is not a movie. It is more like building a wall one brick at a time. Each brick feels small. Together, they change everything. Comfort dislikes boredom because boredom removes distraction. When nothing exciting happens, the mind wants to escape. It looks for novelty, new plans, new goals, new ideas. Starting something new feels better than continuing something plain. This is why many people are good at starting and bad at finishing. Starting gives a rush. Finishing requires patience. Boredom is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that the mind is no longer being entertained. And that is often when learning begins. When things repeat, the brain stops reacting and starts adjusting. Skills deepen, habits form, but this only happens if the person stays. Many people quit right before this shift happens. They mistake boredom for lack of progress. Comfort supports this mistake. It offers an exit that feels logical. Try something else. This isn't your thing. You should feel more excited. These thoughts protect comfort, not growth. People who grow learn to sit with boredom without running from it. They do not try to make everything fun. They understand that not every step feels rewarding. They keep going anyway. Over time, boredom changes. It becomes calm. Focus improves. Effort feels lighter. This is where consistency forms. Another problem is that people expect quick results to prove they are on the right path. When results are slow, boredom feels heavier. But slow results are normal. Many skills and habits take time to show value. Comfort wants proof now. Growth gives proof later. Boredom also tests identity. When there is no excitement, the question becomes, why am I doing this? If the answer depends only on feeling good, the habit will not last. If the answer is based on values or direction, boredom becomes easier to tolerate. Direction holds when emotion fades. As 2026 continues, many people will chase excitement and call it growth. They will move often but go nowhere. Others will choose to stay with simple actions, even when they feel dull. These people will build something stable. The difference is not talent. It is patience. This does not mean forcing yourself endlessly. It means knowing the difference between boredom and misalignment. Boredom says, this feels plain. Misalignment says, this feels wrong. Learning to tell the difference takes time. Comfort treats both the same and avoids them. Growth requires staying long enough to learn. When boredom appears, do not rush to escape it. Ask what it is teaching. Often it is teaching endurance, focus, presence. These are quiet skills, but they matter more than excitement. They allow progress to last. Boredom is not the enemy. It is a doorway. Those who walk through it gain stability. Those who turn away keep starting over. Staying when it feels boring is one of the strongest choices you can make. Another reason people stop growing is because they let small breaks turn into full stops. Life gets busy. Energy drops. Something unexpected happens. A routine slips for a day or two. Comfort quickly steps in and turns that pause into a reason to quit. People tell themselves they fell off and now need to restart later. This thinking is harmful because it treats progress as fragile when it is not. Progress does not disappear because of a pause. It weakens only when the pause becomes an excuse. Comfort likes excuses because they remove responsibility without pain. One missed day feels small, but the story people tell about it matters. If they say, I failed, they create shame. Shame drains energy. Energy loss makes restarting harder. This cycle keeps people stuck. Many people believe progress must be perfect to count. This is not true. Progress is uneven. Some days are strong. Some days are light. Some days barely exist. Comfort uses imperfect days to argue that the effort is broken. Growth understands that imperfect effort still moves forward. People who grow long-term treat breaks as normal, not as problems. They return without drama. They do not punish themselves. They do not restart from zero in their mind. They continue. This mindset protects momentum. Comfort tries to turn small slips into reasons to stop. Growth treats them as part of the path. Another mistake is waiting for the right moment to resume. People tell themselves they will restart when they have more time, more energy, or a clearer mind. That moment rarely comes. Life does not pause to create perfect conditions. Comfort keeps people waiting for a future that feels safer than the present. Restarting does not need to be big. In fact, big restarts create pressure. Small returns work better. Doing something small rebuilds rhythm. Rhythm is more important than intensity. Once rhythm returns, progress feels easier again. People also forget that effort changes over time. What once felt exciting becomes routine. What once felt hard becomes manageable. Comfort misreads this shift as loss of motivation. But it is actually a sign of stability. Stable effort does not feel dramatic. It feels ordinary. That ordinariness scares comfort because it removes excuses. As 2026 continues, many people will stop and start again and again. They will keep waiting for clean restarts. Others will return quietly after pauses and keep going. Over time, the second group will move much further, even if they never feel impressive. Another trap is self-judgment. When people criticize themselves for slipping, they drain the energy needed to continue. Growth requires kindness toward effort, not harshness. This does not mean being lazy. It means being realistic. Humans are not machines. Expecting constant performance leads to burnout. Comfort often disguises itself as self-protection. It says stopping is better than risking failure. But stopping does not protect growth. It delays it. The safest path forward is not avoiding breaks, but learning how to return quickly. Returning quickly is a skill. It means noticing when you drift and correcting without emotion. No stories, no shame, just movement. This skill is more important than motivation because it keeps progress alive during hard weeks. You do not need to be perfect this year. You need to be persistent. Persistence is not loud. It is quiet and forgiving. It allows mistakes without turning them into endings. When you stop treating pauses as failures, comfort loses another tool. Progress becomes flexible instead of fragile, and flexible systems last longer. Missing a day does not end progress. Giving up does. The difference is a choice you can make again and again. Many people slow down or stop because they start measuring themselves too often. They check progress every day. They ask if they are better yet. They compare today to yesterday and feel disappointed when the change is not clear. Comfort likes constant measuring because it creates doubt. Doubt makes stopping feel reasonable. Growth does not need daily proof. It needs time. When people measure too often, they turn progress into a test. Every day feels like a pass or fail moment. This creates pressure. Pressure makes effort heavy. Heavy effort is hard to repeat. Comfort then steps in and says, "This is too much." The problem is not the work. It is the constant judging of the work. Progress is uneven by nature. Some days move things forward. Some days only hold ground. Some days feel like nothing happened. Measuring too often hides this truth. It makes people believe something is wrong when nothing is wrong. Growth is happening below the surface, but constant checking cannot see it yet. Another issue with measuring is comparison. People compare their progress to others. They look at results without seeing effort, timing, or context. This creates false pressure. Comfort uses comparison to lower motivation. Says, "Others are ahead. Why try?" This thought feels logical, but it ignores reality. Everyone moves at a different pace. Comparing paths only creates confusion. People who grow long-term focus less on results and more on showing up. They ask simple questions like, "Did I show up today?" Or, "Did I keep the routine alive?" These questions build stability. Stability builds results later. Comfort prefers results now. Growth accepts results later. Another reason measuring hurts progress is that it steals attention. Attention moves from action to judgment. Instead of doing the work, people think about how the work feels. This creates self-focus. Self-focus makes effort harder. When attention stays on the self, time feels heavy. This is why many people feel tired even when they are not doing much. Their energy is spent on thinking about progress instead of making progress. Comfort encourages this because thinking feels safer than acting. Measuring feels productive without risk. As 2026 continues, many people will quit because they do not see fast results. They will believe the effort is not worth it. Others will stop measuring so closely. They will trust the process and keep going. Over time, those people will build something strong, even if they cannot explain exactly when it happened. This does not mean never checking progress. It means checking it less often and with less emotion. Progress checks should inform direction, not decide self-worth. When measuring becomes emotional, it damages motivation. When measuring is calm, it helps adjustment. Another helpful shift is measuring time instead of outcome. Ask how long you stayed consistent, not how big the result is. Time spent matters more than early results. Early results are often misleading. They can rise or fall quickly. Time tells the real story. Comfort wants proof before patience. Growth asks for patience before proof. This order matters. When patience comes first, proof eventually follows. When proof is demanded first, patience never arrives. Let go of daily judgment. Let effort stack quietly. Let results arrive when they are ready. This does not mean lowering standards. It means understanding how change actually works. When you stop measuring yourself every day, pressure drops. Effort feels lighter. Progress becomes easier to repeat. Comfort loses another way to interrupt growth. You do not need to see change every day. You need to allow it to build. Trusting time is not weakness. It is wisdom. Another reason people stop growing is because they carry too much mental weight. They think about everything at once. Past mistakes, future plans, other people's opinions, and their own doubts all sit in the mind together. This creates pressure. When the mind feels heavy, even small actions feel hard. Comfort then offers relief by saying, rest first. Think later. Many people accept this offer and never return. The mind was not built to hold everything at once. It works best when it focuses on one small thing at a time. Growth becomes difficult when people try to solve their whole life in one thought. They want answers for the future before taking the next step. This creates confusion. Comfort likes confusion because confused people stay still. People who move forward learn to unload the mind. They stop trying to carry everything. They focus only on what is next. Not the whole path, just the next step. This makes effort lighter. When effort feels lighter, it repeats more easily. Another source of mental weight is regret. People replay old choices and think about what they should have done differently. This does not change the past, but it drains energy in the present. Comfort uses regret to keep people stuck. Tells them they are behind or late. When people believe this, they lose urgency in a healthy way and replace it with resignation. The truth is simple. The past cannot be fixed, but it also does not block the future. The only thing that blocks progress is carrying old weight into new effort. When attention stays on what cannot change, action slows. When attention moves to what can change, energy returns. Worry about the future creates a similar problem. People imagine many outcomes and try to prepare for all of them. This spreads focus thin. Comfort hides in this planning. Planning feels responsible, but too much planning delays action. Growth needs some planning, but it also needs movement. Movement clarifies what planning cannot. Another heavy load is other people's expectations. People worry about judgment, approval, and comparison. They think about how choices will look instead of how choices will feel. This pulls attention outward. Comfort encourages this because it shifts responsibility away from the self. If you are focused on others, you do not have to face your own direction. People who grow learn to simplify their thinking. They ask fewer questions. Not because they are careless, but because they know which questions matter. What is the next step? Is often enough. Too many questions slow action. Comfort loves questions that never lead to movement. Mental weight also comes from treating everything as serious. When every decision feels heavy, progress slows. Growth works better with lightness. Lightness does not mean lack of care. It means allowing room for mistakes without drama. When mistakes feel safe, action feels easier. As 2026 continues, many people will feel tired without knowing why. They will rest more but feel no lighter. This is because rest alone does not remove mental weight. Simplifying focus does. Letting go of what cannot be controlled does. Choosing one step does. You do not need to solve your whole life. You do not need perfect clarity. You only need enough clarity to take the next step. That step creates new information. New information makes the next step clearer. This cycle builds momentum without pressure. When the mind is lighter, effort becomes steadier. Comfort loses another advantage. Progress feels less forced and more natural. Not because life is easy, but because attention is no longer scattered. Growth does not ask you to carry everything. It asks you to carry what matters right now. When you learn this, movement becomes possible again. Many people stop growing because they wait for life to feel stable before they move forward. They tell themselves they will act when things calm down, when work is easier, when emotions feel settled, or when problems are solved. This sounds reasonable, but it creates a trap. Life rarely becomes fully stable. There is always something unfinished, uncertain, or changing. Comfort uses this fact to delay action again and again. People believe stability comes first and growth comes after. In reality, growth often creates stability. When you wait for perfect conditions, you stay still. When you move forward during imperfect conditions, your confidence and structure increase. Comfort prefers waiting because waiting feels safe. Moving during uncertainty feels risky, even when the risk is small. Another problem is that people expect progress to feel smooth. When progress includes stress, mistakes, or confusion, they think something is wrong. Comfort reinforces this idea. It says growth should feel better than this, but real growth often feels messy. It involves learning while doing. It involves adjusting after mistakes. Smooth progress is rare and usually temporary. People who grow accept that instability is part of the process. They do not wait for calm. They act within chaos. Over time, chaos loses power because the person becomes more capable inside it. This is how strength forms, not by avoiding stress, but by meeting it in small, manageable ways. Another reason people wait is fear of making the wrong choice. They believe one wrong step will ruin everything. This belief creates paralysis. Comfort encourages it by exaggerating consequences. But most choices are not final. They can be adjusted. Direction matters more than precision. Standing still guarantees no progress. Moving forward allows correction. People who move forward understand that clarity improves after action, not before it. They make a choice, learn from it, and adjust. This process builds trust in oneself. Comfort avoids this because it prefers certainty over learning. But certainty without action is an illusion. As 2026 moves on, many people will stay in planning mode. They will think, organize, prepare, and wait. They will feel busy without moving. Others will take imperfect steps while life feels unstable. Those people will grow faster even if they feel unsure. Another quiet delay comes from emotional weather. People wait until they feel motivated, calm, or confident. When emotions change, action stops. Growth requires acting through changing moods. Emotions are not commands. They are signals. Comfort treats emotions as instructions to stop. Growth treats them as background noise. You do not need to feel good to act. You only need to act gently enough to continue. Small steps taken during hard days build real strength. They teach the mind that movement is possible even when conditions are not ideal. Waiting for stability often hides fear of responsibility. When you move, you own the outcome. When you wait, you can blame conditions. Comfort prefers this safety. Growth requires ownership. Ownership feels heavy at first, but it becomes lighter with practice. Progress does not ask for perfect timing. It asks for participation. Each step taken during uncertainty builds experience. Experience reduces fear. Reduced fear allows more movement. This cycle creates stability from the inside out. If you keep waiting for life to settle, it never will. If you learn to move while things are unsettled, you become steadier. This is the difference between hoping for change and becoming capable of it. Stability is not a starting point. It is a result. When you understand this, comfort loses another excuse to delay your growth. At the end of all this, there is one simple truth many people miss. Change does not come from fighting yourself. It comes from understanding yourself. Most people think growth is about force, pressure, or becoming harder. But lasting change is softer than that. It happens when you stop arguing with reality and start working with it. When effort, time, and attention move in the same direction, progress becomes steady instead of fragile. By now, you may notice a pattern. Comfort did not stop you all at once. It slowed you down in small ways. It asked you to wait. It asked you to avoid discomfort. It asked you to stay busy instead of focused. None of this felt dangerous. That is why it worked. Growth did not fail because you were weak. It faded because comfort was quiet and patient. The goal was never to remove comfort from your life. Comfort is not evil. Rest matters. Ease matters. The problem begins only when comfort becomes the leader instead of the support. When comfort decides direction, life shrinks. When direction decides comfort, life expands. Real change feels simple once it begins. Not easy, but simple. You stop looking for the perfect moment. You stop needing to feel ready. You stop measuring every step. You stop restarting from zero. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop needing proof. You stop letting mood decide movement. Each of these shifts is small, but together they change how life feels. Progress becomes less dramatic and more stable. You stop asking, "Is this working?" every day. You start asking, "Am I still showing up?" That question is easier to answer, and the answer builds confidence quietly. There is no final moment where everything clicks forever. There is no finish line where effort ends. What changes is your relationship with effort. It becomes lighter, more honest, less emotional. You stop making it mean something about your worth. You stop using it to judge yourself. You let it exist as part of life, not a test you must pass. As 2026 continues, many people will search for new plans, new systems, new motivation. Some of that is useful, but most progress will come from something simpler: seeing clearly, acting gently, staying consistent, returning when you drift, letting time do its work. You do not need to rush. You do not need to announce change. You do not need to prove anything. Quiet progress counts. Invisible progress counts. Progress that feels boring, slow, and ordinary often lasts the longest. If you take one thing from this, let it be this: comfort should make life kinder, not smaller. When comfort protects rest, it helps you grow. When comfort avoids growth, it limits you. Learning the difference is one of the most important skills you can develop. Let this video end without pressure. There is nothing you need to do right now. No list to follow. No promise to make. Just notice what you already see differently. Notice when comfort speaks. Notice when delay feels reasonable. Notice when action feels uncomfortable but honest. That awareness is enough to begin. Return to this when things feel noisy, when progress feels slow, when comfort feels convincing. Not to restart, but to realign. This is not an ending. It is a quieter way of continuing.